Welcome back to the Ford 400. Denny Hamlin is our leader. Aerial coverage from high above Homestead-Miami Speedway, courtesy of our good friends at Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. This is the farewell race for this race car here. It will be full time for the COT car, the car of tomorrow, which will become the car of today.
So we can keep the COT. We just can't call it car of tomorrow. We call it car of today.
And boy, I want to know what they're going to do with 700 of these cars. We talked about, 50 teams, 15 cars a piece. Man, there is a lot of cars going to be available for somebody to put in their garage or do something.
Richard Schroeder said if you want to get one, you can get one really cheap, and you just put it out in the yard and go out and sit in it if you want to. It's a buyer's market, obviously, here about the 17 car. And some of these people are donating cars to different charities and different groups, we're told.
Yeah, we're hearing Richard Petty's donating some of his cars to universities to teach some of these kids about racing. Because right now, Andy, they're sitting in these schools and really don't have the real cars, the real hot rods, I call them, to play around with.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for a lot of schools to get some real race cars, current race cars, to look at.
Guys at ARCA are going to be able to get some great race cars to run next year, and of course other areas within NASCAR, the divisions of NASCAR.
I'll guarantee you're going to see a lot of restaurants with these cars bolted on poles parked out front too.
Dave?
And Doc, you hit it on the head. You can run this race car in the Busch East Series next year if you want to, and that's going to help carry on a tradition with a generation of Earnhardts. The Earnhardt Jr.'s cars, Martin Truex's cars, Paul Menard's cars, those are going to be shared by a young man named Jeffrey Earnhardt, his nephew, and a guy named Trevor Bayne. They're going to run those in the Busch East Series and hopefully gain some footholds in that series. Do you think some of these cars, maybe not this one in particular, because it's had some contact, but a lot of good race cars that they can use to learn in that series following this season?
Well, in fact, this year, Chase Austin, the yellow fellow drives for me, Andy. It's a 110-inch NASCAR Nextel Cup car. You can run the Busch cars also, but we actually found out they give you a 50-pound weight break if you run a Cup car, and they were actually faster with these cars. So the Busch Series, the Busch East Series, will be pretty good there.
By the way, Jeffrey Earnhardt is the son of Kerry Earnhardt. He, of course, obviously is the grandson of the late Dale Earnhardt Sr. as well. So continuing that tradition, as Dave was talking about having an Earnhardt as a part of DEI in the Busch East division.
See Jeff Gordon in his 24 cars running down the 11. And Denny Hamlin. These two guys are racing each other, and Gordon kind of caught up with him here.
One thing I'm noticing right now, we talked about the transition of daytime to nighttime. It looks as though that it's starting to affect some of the cars, although the one holding pretty strong is Kenseth throughout the day. Looks like he's got a setup that doesn't matter if it's daytime or nighttime. And evidently, Robbie Reiser's staying up with the racetrack on his adjustments, too.
It seems like that one car really likes to run a lot of laps. So the more laps they run, the better his car gets. The 17's just been good all day, so he's good no matter what.
This is one of the best runs I've seen of Jeff Gordon out of the last 4 or 5 weeks. He's hanging in there real good, third spot right now, but he's about 0.3 of a second slower than the leader, Matt Kenseth.
Andy, we heard at the top of the show the 24 car was having a lot of trouble with the nose of the car beginning to slip and slide. With the track cooling off, how much better is going to help you? Is it going to help the whole car, or will it just help the front of the car?
Well, it can actually make the nose scoot more. So if they have a push, they need to start working on it. Look at this one car. He's starting to come alive here. But if the car is tight and the track gets cooler, the car's going to get tighter. So they have to start adjusting on this car.
Yeah, and every single pit stop, I'm going to want him to loosen my car up, take some wedge out, put some air in the right rear tire, something to make that car turn better, because as it gets cooler, just like you said, Andy, the track's not going to change the same. Something's going to happen.
Still 4 positions separating Jeff Gordon on the right side of your screen from Jimmy Johnson on the left. Now, Jeff Gordon basically has run in front of Jimmy Johnson for the majority of the day. The bad news is he's not far enough in front of him to be able to make up a significant amount of points. 73 points of differential right now. But, folks, there are still 39 cars on the racetrack. So if Jimmy Johnson has troubles, he can still have a pretty poor finish, and Jeff Gordon could become a champion. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
Back at Homestead-Miami Speedway, final race in the chase. In 79 laps, the Nextel Cup champ will be crowned. The story in the FedEx race rundown. Points leader Jimmy Johnson started the day on the pole. He only needs to finish 21st or better now to win, and he is safely in 8th. last race for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the number 8 and for DEI. We know the entrance to pit road is tricky. He found it early.
He really did. Had a tough day thus far, Susie. Got to an accident early. He's had a tough season, and it continues here today.
And Jeff Gordon and Steve Letarte looking for any way to make up ground on that 48 team.
They are pulling out all stops, but Jimmy Johnson did a great job by leading the first lap, getting those 5 bonus points, and he has further widened the gap between himself and Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, well, Jeff said the car isn't bad, but he sits in fourth. That's certainly not enough to get it done.
Not the place he wants to be. He needs to be leading the most laps as possible and running up front. He's just not been able to get there today.
We talked about the race within the race. Only the top 10 go to New York. Right now, Martin Truex and Denny Hamlin are out of that mix, Doc.
Thank you, Susie. Brad, by the way, the 83 car, Brian Vickers driver, and Johnny Sauter both checked out and released at the infield care center after that pretty hard lick back on lap 158. That brought out caution number 5. Matt Kenseth, we told you he's coming off of 4 consecutive top 5 finishes. It's been feast or famine for Kenseth in the chase. He's either had really good runs, 5th, 4th, 2nd, and 3rd the last 4 weeks, or he's had 4 finishes of 26th or worse early in the chase. He's either been real good or real bad, and tonight he is really good.
Well, Doc, you know, talking about Martin Truex a little while ago, talking about the points, trying to get in the top 10 to go to New York. He's only 16 points behind the 31 car of Jeff Burton, and Burton right now is a lap down.
How important is it to sit up on that stage or go up on the stage in that top 10, Russ?
It's very important. I love being there. If you're not in the top 10 of New York, you feel humiliated. You don't even want to go up there. So these guys are just desperately wanting to get in the top 10, that's for sure.
Martin Truex has come so far this year with his career after being a rookie a year ago, finishing 2nd in this race. So he finished the 2006 season on a high note. Picked up his first win this year, one of 4 first-time winners. He won at Dover in only his 58th career start, and obviously would love to be able to go to New York in the top 10. It would certainly help his sponsors. Yes, the yellow flag is waving here for the 6th time. 06 Sam Hornish Jr. making his 2nd ever Cup start, and he has tagged the concrete there with the right side of his Dodge.
Well, he's pounded that thing.
Looks as though that the suspension's not tore up on it. Let's take a look here. He gets in the corner just real high again. Gets up and scrapes that wall. And we were talking earlier. He's been running the real high line all week long in this car. And there's a lot of grip up there, a lot of speed, but boy, there's
Just
no
risky.
room for error.
Just risky up there.
All right, money stops coming your way. Let's go down to our ESPN Dish Tech Center in Tim Brewer.
Hey, this is where the crapshoot comes in, folks. We got to put a little bit more tape on the nose of this car. What we're going to do, we're trying to plant the nose of this thing, get us more downforce so we can run those corners a little bit better. Jeff Gordon, he's got nothing to lose. He's got to go for it right now.
Yeah, Tim, you're probably going to see some of these guys putting tape on the grill because it's getting cooler. They're looking for that front downforce to keep these things from sliding around.
For more information on adjustments, log on to ESPN.com, search word know-how. If you just joined our coverage, Jeff Gordon's guys have been talking about the nose of his 24 car slipping and sliding. If they put some tape on it, as you saw Tim Brewer show you, maybe they can plant that nose, and Gordon needs to be able to plant that car at the front of the field and at least lead a lap and maybe hope that something's going to happen to the guy he's chasing in the points, Jimmy Johnson. Cruise up on the wall. And folks, when they stop here, they should be able to make it easily on one more pit stop. Let's go down to Jamie Little.
And Matt Kenseth in first gear, 4,800 RPM as he makes the long trek down pit road. He said his car's still a little loose, which is the reason why he's not running as fast as the others. 4 tires, a wedge adjustment. That's it for the 17. Mike
Ford has been calling for minute changes on the 11 car all day long, and this is another one. They're going to go down 1/8 of a round on the left rear, 4 tires and fuel. Alan?
And Jeff Gordon, that lower left-hand box, his crew discussing, doing what Tim Brewer described just a minute ago, putting some tape on the nose of that car. It's going to be a 4-tire change and adjustments on the 24, Dave.
After saying it was pretty good, Jimmy Johnson said, if you want to go faster, more comfort into the corner, turn the center better, and more grip up. That'll be a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment for the 48 crew.
Jeff Gordon's crew will beat the 48 out. And how about Kenseth? 12.5 seconds for Robbie Reiser and company down there. Great pit stop on the 17th. Kurt Busch up a couple of spots. Denny Hamlin back 3 positions. Working caution for the 6th time tonight. Lap 193. Sam Hornish's Dodge has contact with the wall.